Hi everyone, it's Kost from Solar Cutters here, and we're in lovely Austria at Talhelm at the Fronius Research and Development Facility. We're here with Ruffy, who's going to give us a bit of a rundown of everything that happens here that goes into building these magnificent inverters. So, Ruffy, tell us about the magic.
Hey, welcome to Talheim. So here's the place where around 850 developers work towards renewable energy and making our products and services so that they're actually in the quality that you're used to have them.
Obviously, sustainability is critical and important what we do. How does the R&D facility go about being efficient but also being sustainable?
Well, if you have a look around, you will basically see that the whole rooftop is full of PV. So we currently have around 310 kilowatts of PV production on the roof that powers basically all the development and all the testing efforts that we're currently having in place. Generally, we also have one of the biggest geothermal plants here that is basically used to make the whole building warm in the winters. And we can also nicely use, for example, the drowned river water, which is the river just next to us, to cool the building in summers. So to have it nice and chilly there. And generally speaking, our inverters mostly are tested here when it comes to R&D purposes, obviously. And therefore, we are also able to perform proper testing with sustainability in mind in this case.
Sounds perfect. So obviously, most inverter manufacturers and manufacturers of solar components have R&D facilities. What does Fronius do to make us stand out from the crowd and make this facility one of the most cutting edge and innovative in all of Europe and the world?
So in my perspective, it is that sustainability is at the core or at the heart of everything that we do. Be it from the building design, as we've previously discussed, but also from building our devices. When we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about building long-lasting devices that will hold for in half eternity, basically. And I have just one example that I can bring because I'm typically working in the solar web team or in the cloud team. And the thing that basically tells the story the best is that we still have devices in the field that are connected today to SolarWeb that are older than 20 years. Tell me which inverter manufacturer is actually able to deliver devices that are keeping that long out.
So all the hours and hours of work and manufacturing and development, like it obviously is not something you started yesterday. It's something you've been doing for decades.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we've heard a lot about sustainability by design. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, obviously. So we start when we're talking about sustainability, when we think about how we build the device. Which components go into it? Which suppliers can deliver these components? And do the suppliers fulfill our sustainability requirements that we have in place? Of course, longevity is one of the requirements that we have. Therefore, we also have to test our components with lots of aggressive tests, with temperature, with water, with the roughest conditions that our inverters are typically installed to. And our inverters are typically not installed in the living room where the conditions are nice and warmy. It's typically more the areas where it's really, tricky from the weather conditions.
Very, very interesting, yeah. So we've had snap inverters, we've had Agillos, and we've had Gen 24s now, and there's Vertos coming. Tell us about the process that goes into R&D for a Fronius inverter.
So basically, we start with thinking really hard about what the market needs. What are the demands that the market requires? What are features that our installers like? What are features that our customers really like? And then we think how to put that into a whole product that makes a conclusive picture. Fronius really takes care about making everything as consistent as possible. And this is where lots of thought process is happening. Then obviously we start bringing it into reality. So this is where we go into the R&D, where lots of smart engineers are working toward realizing exactly what the people had in mind when they designed it for the market. And from there on, the magic that we've already been discussing about is happening, and we bring it into production.
So we've got a question that's been supplied to me that a lot of people in Australia are wanting to find out or wanting to know. How many hours or how many days or months or years of R&D goes into a new inverter with Fronius?
Well, the answer is not as easy to answer, but generally, as a rule of thumb, you could say it's somewhere between 3 to 4 years. So this is when we're developing something from scratch. Obviously, we have a lot of people working here in parallel, trying to realize the products. And there's a lot of parallelization ongoing, and therefore certain things can be developed in parallel to shorten down the time it takes. But so, historically speaking, we have been around 3 to 4 years.
You want to make sure you're doing it right. There's no point rushing to the market and having a product that's not suitable, that has technical flaws. So better do it right and do it once. Well, that's the exciting thing now. I guess a lot of the innovations and the updates that they're happening through software and firmware upgrades as opposed to additional hardware and equipment you have to install on site. So from a customer's perspective, you can get all this extra benefit from new technologies and innovations you guys are building without leaving the living room and their system improving their performance and getting extra independence or whichever update you guys are doing. So which is very exciting.
Absolutely. We're trying to bring in the updatability and the extensibility straight from the design process. And this is what you're experiencing as a customer, even if you have an inverter installed that is 10 years already.
Yeah.
You will experience frequent software updates as well as extensibility, even in the form of hardware.
Yeah.
Talking about, for example, DC protection that you can put into the installation area of the inverter, as well as now the PV point comfort, which is a nice feature that you can just simply plug into your installation area.
Thank you, Rafi, for answering those questions. I know everyone in Australia and everyone's watching this will be very interested and well informed. Now you can give me a little bit of a sneak peek. I know a lot of the stuff here is very private and closely guarded, but we'll have a bit of a walk around, have a bit of a look.
Let's take a walk. Let's go.
Go.